Thank you so much, Rebecca, and hello, everyone. I'm going to share my passion and why I have chosen to stand up for something. But first, a little backdrop. I grew up in Fjellhamar, Norway, as a little explorer, and I loved the season winter. Winter, ski, snow and ice became my passion. So what are you passionate about? What are you willing to show up for in your life? This is my story. I had my education in tourism, and in my mid-20s, I moved to Svalbard, the northernmost destination in the world, with more polar bears than humans, closest settlement to the North Pole. I instantly fell in love with this place, with the light, the extreme remoteness, the wildlife, the scenery. And this has now been my backyard for 27 years. But I started to see some changes 15, 20 years ago. When I came, it was a so-called Arctic desert, and then we had this temperature rise, less sea ice is here, and also more snow and rain. Many of the glaciers has retreated more than 5 kilometers since I arrived. And actually, in fact, in this region, the effect of the climate change happens 6 times faster than in any other place on Earth. Svalbard has become the epicenter of climate change. The most defining day of my life was back in 2015. Just behind my home, a big avalanche destroyed 12 of my neighbor houses and buried 17 people under snow inside their homes. Tragically, a 2-year-old and a 43-year-old died, and I was very involved with that family that lost their little daughter. That changed my life. That changed the whole community. And I just knew back then that I had to do something. I wanted to contribute in one way or the other. I wanted to make a contribution. Ever since I came to Svalbard in 1995, I've wanted to be doing an overwintering. And what is an overwintering? It's staying in a small trapper's cabin from the summer to the next summer, at least 9 months. And my husband and myself has access to a hut on the south part of Svalbard, 140 kilometers away from Longyearbyen. And I really wanted to do this. It's inaccessible for many months of the year, and it's extremely remote. The closest neighbor is up in Longyearbyen, hours away from us. This is the hut called Bamsebu, built back in 1930 as a trapper's cabin during summer for beluga hunting. So that means no running water, no electricity, no insulation, and no cellular connectivity. I thought back then that I was going to do this overwintering with my husband. And while I was waiting, I increased my knowledge of this extreme environment by doing expeditions during summer and winter. It took me about 20 years to understand that he didn't share my dream of an overwintering. So then the year after the avalanche, when I really felt that I had to do something to show my love and protection for this area, I met Sunniva. She's a real explorer. She was part of the first female ski team to ski to the South Pole back in 1992. And we connected instantly. So she was my polar opposite, because she had her experience from Antarctica, me from Arctic. And we just felt that we had some common background. And when I asked her, actually a couple of months after I met her the first time, I asked her whether she wanted to come to do an overwintering with me. She said yes. I might have forgot to tell her about the no running water and electricity thing. But she came with me. And meet a team. The most important member of the team here is actually Etra, our 4-legged friend. So Sunniva and I, we quit our full-time leading positions and created Hearts in the Ice, a global platform around dialogue and action for climate change. We become so-called citizen scientists. We had no background in science, but we were citizens that wanted to create some actual data for the scientists. So we collected data for NASA, UNIS, Norwegian Polar Institute, 9 ongoing climate change research we collected from Bamsebu. And we also had this satellite dish in a Pele case. And through this, we could communicate with kids from all over the world, together with these experts within climate change topics. And this was powered by solar and wind. We had Jane Goodall on the call. And on that call, we had 7,300 kids live. And we connected with more than 100,000 kids while we were at Bamsebu. And this was actually one of the last calls, and we were able to be live on camera, not only calling in. This is 2 minutes.
So the question is, what did we give up? What did we forfeit to come here?
What didn't we give up? Our whole life.
Without men. Important detail.
We gave up our jobs, shopping, showers.
Our family and friends.
Make a wish. Hey, this is us.
Hi!
And we don't ever go anywhere without Etra, our four-legged friend. Here's to making it up as we go.
Da var vi inne i mørketida.
A polar bear that killed a reindeer.
So today is March 9th, and it's the first time that I see the sun since October. Oh, I have to open up the window. Look at this. There it is. We're out here on a lunch break.
So this is an IMAX movie that Imagine Entertainment is trying to create out of our footage. It's all our footage. So it was only the two of us, Sunniva and I. We had choose to self-isolate. We were all by ourselves. No one that could help us when things went wrong. Like our door was ripped off in a hurricane. The windmill broke. The Wi-Fi antenna. The fuse in the boat engine got full of salt water. I never rinsed the fuse before. But we had to do this. It was only us. We had no one to help us. And being so 100% dependent on each other was, of course, difficult. And all of a sudden, we were there. We were supposed to go home in May, but then COVID happened. And no ships could come pick us up. Could come and pick up us with a small boat, but not the equipment and everything that was there. So 9 months turned into be 12 months, and we were completely out of everything by the time we were picked up in September 2021. And then we resupplied, and the scientists were still not in the field. They were not out there because of COVID, so we decided to take another winter. 19 months in total. Total darkness, 3 months. Can you close your eyes a second? This is even more dark than you can ever imagine. And imagine having polar bears luring around this hut. And us, always, when we went outside, we had a lot of things to do outside. We never went out by ourselves. We had no one to connect to. It was just the two of us. But it was so powerful. We knew that we had a common goal. We had a bigger purpose. It was never, ever a time when we thought we should quit. Never. But yes, of course, it was challenging. But we had tools. We had gratefulness was one of the most powerful tools. We thanked each other every single day for the contribution, for us staying alive. You should try that at home. And it's no joke. It's super powerful. Look the other one in the eyes and say thank you for the contribution. And we also celebrated every small little thing. If we had a limp little carrot left to dinner, that was our celebration. We had a lot of fun too. We had music, we danced, we trained every day with rubber bands, with yoga mats. We ran outside, and we also had a lot of physical work outside, chopping wood, chopping ice, and finding snow for water. And the highlight of the day was the dinner. That was very often interrupted by this beautiful show outside, or even this. We had 100 polar bear visits on our doorstep. And we managed to harm no wildlife. And we lived in harmony with the nature around us and all wildlife around us. But this guy, we told he was not welcome. So I've never been more exposed for danger, both wildlife and harsh environment and really, really bad weather. But I never felt more alive and more strong. And I've never been so far away from my loved ones. But I've never felt more connected, more close to them. Because actually I had time. I had no buzzing phones. We choose to download emails once a day, but we have no outer disturbance. So I really took them in. And also I've never had less and never felt richer. So for us humans to connect to ourselves and take time to that, and also connect to each other and connect to the natural world, that is so important for the issue we're standing before us now, the climate change. And I think this makes us better people. To be out in the wilderness, for us it was absolutely amazing to be so close to wildlife, waking up after 3 months of darkness, and we saw the eggs, we saw them fly away. We saw the polar bear mom got one polar bear the one spring, and then that died, and then she got two more ones the next year. So why is the Arctic so important? Why is what's happening up in the Arctic so important when it comes to climate change? Because what's happening up there is going to happen to the rest of the world. And the sea ice is important because that keeps the Earth cool, that reflects the sunlight and the warmth. And also, not to mention everything that's happening underneath the sea ice. The first web of life, or the first stadium of the web of life in ocean, has their first stadium up in the small little pockets up in the saltwater ice. And also, not to mention the seals and the whole chain, the polar bear. So what's happening up in the Arctic doesn't stay in the Arctic. Coming back to the civilization was so hard. I felt so disconnected. I felt out of purpose. No one actually really needed me. Like on Svalbard or on Bamseby, we were dependent on each other. Sunniva at least needed me. Etra needed me. I needed me. Coming back to this hamster wheel, I felt so disconnected. But then I realized what I learned at Bamsebu was exactly that. If I didn't act at Bamsebu, I wouldn't survive. And that is what I want to advocate for. If we don't act, we won't survive. We have to act. So when we came back to the civilization, we connected with kids actually in person. And we had some fun with bringing in the mayor and sign climate agreements with the kids. And we also spoke for the UN and other big conferences, sharing our love for the Arctic and why we are so engaged in protecting that. We're collaborating with partners that are in the forefront or in the front seat of climate change and really try to move the needle. And actually try to together with them, we try to push for a greener way forward. So silence is so important for us to connect to ourselves and find our inner passion and inner what we want to stand up for, show up for. I've always been part of the problem, but I love to be part of the solution. And I love to share that with people and to make people sit together and work on the new way forward. And we need new narratives. We need to start to think about what we can start to do instead of everything we have to stop doing. We need to look at how we can do handprints, what we can create with our hands instead of footprints. We need to find new fun ways new fun ways to create a greater future for all of us. It was never a dress. We are all superheroes. We can do this. I found my purpose. I have found, through Hearts in the Eyes, a way to show up, a way to connect, a way to advocate for what I believe in and what is my passion, and that is the Arctic and the sea ice. And we will continue to work on Arctic actions like renewable energy, regenerative tourism, and also share the knowledge of the experts up in the Arctic, the indigenous people, and to share our love for the Arctic. Because that's what is going to impact all of us, what's happening up there. And we can do this. We're all superheroes. We can all be part of the solution. So let's just stand up. Let's act. Let's show up and be part of the way forward. Thank you.